7 learning frames of NLP to give you the edge. Hey everyone, Mike Sweet here from mikesweet.co.uk, giving you the edge in life and business with NLP and psychology. Now today we're going to be talking about learning frames of NLP, and you'll hear me calling them lenses throughout this video, no doubt. Now I'd like to imagine for a moment a picture, just a plain picture. I'll say plain with no frame. And whenever you frame a picture, it has a different impact, a different feeling. You look at it in a different way. And it's amazing the effect that a frame can have upon the same picture. And that's exactly what we're going to be discussing today in these NLP frames, on how you frame conversations, situations, frames of references. And I like to call them lenses because you look at a situation or an outcome or an event through a specific lens and you'll see it very differently. If you change the frame of a picture, it just looks different. So the first learning frame, or the first frame that I want to go through today, is the outcome frame. Now the outcomes frame would be when a person is perhaps thinking about a desired outcome, and think about when do they want that outcome. So really begin to imagine stepping into that outcome, looking through the lens of what the outcome will be like. What will it be like for you? Do you have all the resources that you need to enable you to achieve that outcome? Now that's a great question, because that really lets people know if they're in a state of stuckness and trapped and can't get out of their current situation, and we talk about a future outcome. It's quite easy to discuss things going forward because it's not current. But then when you ask the question, what resources do you need to have to get to that? Then it becomes quite interesting, because people can then look through that lens and think, well, actually, I have everything I need to achieve that. And if they don't, another great question is, what other resources may you need in order to get to your desired outcome? See, that might allow people to scramble, well, I haven't got everything, but actually all I need is a meeting with my HR manager, or all I need is to sell 3 more items a month on eBay. Whatever it is, it allows people to assess a situation, an outcome-based situation. The next one is the ecology frame. Ecology meaning your surroundings and things around you. Now, let's have a look at perhaps taking another job and it all seems all rosy and the salary's great and the prospects look great and the pension's great. But now let's look at it through the ecology lens, ecology frame. If you were to take this job, is there anything you might lose as a result of taking the job? You see what that does? It puts a different spin on something that you've actualized to be perfection. And when you look at it through the ecology lens, you may find it hits on a value that's important to you that you're not willing to lose. And it might be time for renegotiation then, whatever it is, but look at opportunities and possibilities and events through these lenses to get a more rounded view. The as-if frame, I like to call it the fake it till you make it. What would happen if we had all of the resources? So let's look at the as-if frame. Let's pretend you're at work and your CEO has said, you guys have got my back and I can rely upon my management team. I'm going away for 3 weeks. And then while she's away, while your CEO is away, something big happens that you have to make a result, have to make an action and work on. What are you going to do? See, if you act as if, what would Mary do now? What would Mary say to do? And act as if you are Mary. Put yourself in her shoes. Act as if, that fake it till you make it. It's amazing the kind of perspective you'll get in the as if frame. And we touch on this in perceptual positions as well, stepping into different people's shoes to get different perspective, to see it as if you were them. The backtrack frame. Now this is something that that you will use unconsciously, and all of these you will. But when you put them into your arsenal, into your toolbox, you begin to drag them out and actively, positively use them to see the more clarity in the picture. Now, the backtrack frame is phenomenal because quite often I'm laughing because I'm thinking about myself, but in communication, in discussions, things go off track and the purpose gets lost or the outcome gets diluted. Now, a backtrack frame can be used in a number of ways. One can be backtracked to the original point where we were back on target. Can we just backtrack there for a moment? I just want to check. See, backtracking gives people clarity. It also lets other people know that you fully understood the brief or the project or the situation and the understanding. If you backtrack for a moment, you can go over the salient points to make sure that they know and you know you've ticked them off. See, backtracking is really, really vital. It gets you back on track, and it also lets others know that you are on track and you are following. Relevancy frame. Is this piece of the puzzle relevant? Again, in communications, in around the board table, with family, with friends, with buying a house, with getting a mortgage, all the decisions and people that we sit with, perhaps we need to use the relevancy frame. Now, relevancy could be along the lines of you're going for a mortgage and you've been sat there for 2 or 3 hours going through paperwork, feeling battered and bruised, and then the advisor might start talking to you about pensions, about whatever else. And is that relevant and directly applicable now? And if you get the feeling like we're coming off track here slightly, check it with a relevancy frame. Just going to pause you for a minute. Is this pension that you're talking about directly relevant to the mortgage that I've come in for? Now, you may find that it is directly relevant and it was just your initial assumption that perhaps it wasn't, but at least you've checked. And you may find that actually, well, no, it's not relevant, sir or madam, but we do like to run through that with you. It's only another 30 minutes. And that's a point you can stop and say, no, I've come in for what I've come in for, and this isn't relevant to me now. So it's not cheeky and stopping people in their tracks. It's just checking things through a relevancy frame. Is this relevant to the outcome, the goal, right here or now? You'll learn 2 things. It either definitely is, or you'll be able to delete a process that you no longer need or didn't want in the first place. The contrast frame is something that happens and we look through all of the time. You know, we're wired to, especially with online shopping. We're comparing and contrasting services, price, delivery, operations, specifications all the time. And through the contrast frame, through this versus this, we're able to begin to understand and value more easily. Now, you need to be careful here as well, because in one of the other videos we cover about pricing anchors and about getting what we expect. There's something interesting when someone creates a contrast or artificially creates a contrast. You're able to perceive more value in certain things because it's contrasted with something else. So just be aware of that. But typically in life, we contrast houses when we go to buy. We contrast cars, jobs, partners, whatever it might be, situations all of the time. So just think, if you are in looking at perhaps buying a new computer and you look at the specifications and really weigh up the pros and the cons of each one, it's really vital that you do contrast with something that you do know to be true or have a strong belief in versus something that's been brought to you that's new. The contrast frame is a great way to make an assessment. And the last one we're going to cover today is the open frame. Now, this is the anything goes frame. Sounds a little bit too loose to even be a thing. But there's something very important here, because as I mentioned many times, we are creatures of habit and creatures of patterns. And we like what's familiar. We like to follow the herd. We like to go with the flow. Now, let's say that you're in a training setting or meeting a new group of people in a work setting, so semi-structured. Typically what happens, you go around the room and you say, what's your name? I'm Mike. Where are you from? I'm from Milton Keynes. And what do you want from this training? Well, I want blah, blah, blah. And you end up with 10, 12, 15, 20 iterations of the same stuff. Boring, isn't it? But how about if you start that with an open frame? And you'd obviously have to set the tone and explain this is an open frame. This is anything goes. I want to know what's on your mind right now, what you want to get from this, why you're here. Come on, let's just open up. And there is a bit of structure to this as well. It's called a WIFLE. Not NLP related, coaches use it quite a lot. W-I-F-L-E, WIFLE, what I feel like expressing. And usually an item is passed around a table or within a group, and that is the WIFLE. And when you have the WIFLE, you get to say whatever it is that you feel like expressing. No judgments, no comments, no right or wrong answers. It's just your WIFLE, what you feel like expressing. And when you're done, you pass it round and everyone says thanks. It's a great way to have some control in an open frame. Some might say the whole point of an open frame, Mike, is to be open. Stop trying to control it with the whiffles. But I hope you can see that there's some purpose to using that structure. Okay, so we've dived into some learning frames of NLP and some of that structure and how you can begin to use it. So hopefully you can really have to begin to think about these, perhaps write some notes, send yourself some emails of how you're going to start to view situations, people, events through these different lenses and notice how differently you feel. So I really hope you've taken something away from this. And remember, if you want to dive a bit more deeper into NLP, but without going on training courses just yet, head over to mikesweet.co.uk/free NLP and sign up for the 30-day email NLP course delivered straight to your inbox every single day. Nice and simple. So let's connect on social at Mike C. Sweet at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Please do like, please do share, and please do subscribe. Until next time, bye for now.